So we're picking back up with HTML and CSS and learning about creating websites. And we're working through a video index here. And this video index is for my course on creating websites. And this is the stuff we're on right now. And if you want to get to my course, just follow me on Twitter. I'm always like posting access to my course and things like that. So there I am on Twitter. And you could also follow, I was just checking out how many people like that. You can also find the code that we're working on at GitHub goes to 11, and then just look for my repositories and go to the HTML CSS bootcamp, and then in here is all the code we're working on. If you want to get,
are we uploading our index file to our own repository or to that our own created?
Your own repository,
oh, okay.
Yeah. In class, if you're taking my class, you will upload your code to your own repo. If you're just watching this on the web, then awesome for you, trying to forward your skill set in your life. I'm going to give you a short URL to that document. I think I already have it, actually, but I'll just create a new one here. It's easy enough. Cool, so that's a URL to that document. I'll put that into our course so we have it for the rest of the semester. Put it under welcome to. Get to this document. Cool. And we'll put it in our course. Save. All right. Scroll up. So you got a little information about where you find all these resources. Now we're going to take a look at some elements. We're going to look at the paragraph element, the heading elements, the unordered list, and the ordered list. We've already taken a look at Emmet, and then we'll look at, we've seen the link with linking our, what is link used for? The link element's used for linking to our CSS, style sheets. And we'll see the image element and the anchor element and the paragraph element. Again, we'll look at the attributes because elements have attributes and attributes have values. Okay, so last week we talked about CSS. And we talked about rule sets, and rule sets are made up of selectors and declaration blocks. And declaration block is made up of declarations, and every declaration has properties and values that you set. Remember that? And then with elements, we have the element, but then elements can have attributes, and attributes can have values. And so, like a source would be an attribute. You'd set it to where you find a file. So let's see those in action. So we'll just work with them a little bit, and then you guys should have done this for homework already. We'll go to 00temp, spring 07, and 05 as a sample. We'll just copy that, and we'll call this elements. Cool. And so the paragraph element, P, right? Here's a paragraph. And then we have heading elements, H1. H2. H3. H4. H5. H6. And then we have unordered lists and ordered lists. I'm going to pause here for a second, just preview this so you can see like the default formatting that browsers apply. So the browser is applying that formatting. I didn't apply that formatting, right? I haven't formatted this. This is default formatting thrown in by Chrome. Chrome is one browser. There's other browsers. Other browsers might decide to format this differently. You don't want to rely on a browser to format your web page. So you want to zero out whatever formatting a browser might apply to code. Like if I right-click this and inspect it, right, and I look over here, I can see font size 2M. And an M is, it looks to its parent. What is the font size of my parent? And whatever the font size of my parent is, give me 2 of those. So that's the font size of H1, is it's twice its parent. It's kind of weird. A rem is another element you could use instead of an M, and that's the root font size of the browser. In this case, the M is referring, the parent of this H1 is the body tag, and that has nothing set on it, so the parent of that is the HTML tag, which is the document. Okay? And so the rem would refer to the root element, the document, the root of this document, and the M in this case is also referring through inheritance to the root. But that'll be stuff we learn a little bit further down the line. But the 2M there, that's thrown in formatting. And there's some font weight, bold. Right, it's added some font weight. We can look at computed and see, all right, that turns out to be a computed font size of 32 pixels, font weight bold, and then for WebKit there's some margin stuff there. So I want to reset all of that, and we're going to learn how to do a reset on our stuff so that we bring everything down to a baseline. It's just like zero all that default formatting out, and then we build up our own formatting from nothing, and that's known as a reset. So we'll learn about resets, but that's just like my first thought. The second thing I'll say about these different elements is when you start coding web pages, you want to think about using semantics. And semantics when building web pages is like choosing elements which speak to what is in that element. Okay? And so the tags themselves should convey meaning. So for instance, use a paragraph for a paragraph, or use a heading for a heading. And so your document, you signify different levels of importance within your document by giving different levels of heading, right? You'd actually say this is heading 2. It's a subheading of heading 1. You want to just use paragraph tags all the way through and format each of those different paragraphs differently. Do you see what I'm saying? Right? You want to make sure if this is going to be a heading, then use heading 1. If this is a subheading under heading 1, then you use heading 2. You don't just say, oh, this is another paragraph, and I'll format it to look like a heading, which you can do, but that's not good practice. So that's called using semantics, semantic HTML. All right, so there are 6 headings, and then we have, next in line, we have unordered list and ordered list. So an unordered list, right? That's going to give me an unordered. What's that going to give me for people who are able to do some Emmet stuff over the weekend?
Unordered list in 5 lines?
Yeah, it's going to give me one unordered list with 5 list items in it. Now, what's this going to do? 001, 002 inside each list item, right? So there we go. So there's my unordered list. I'm just going to duplicate this and change this to an ordered list, so it's exactly the same. Okay, now we can see the difference between an unordered list and an ordered list. So bullets for an unordered list, numbers for an ordered list. All right, cool. So there's an unordered list and an ordered list. And let's come back here, and we also have Emmet modifying WebStorm, and we have link element. So link element, let's just see what I have to say about that. Link rel style sheet. So this is a self-closing element. So some elements have an opening tag and a closing tag. So I'm just going to copy this here, make a new directory, drag and drop that in.
Are we supposed to do these all on one page or like 3 separate pages?
However you wanted to do it, it's fine. And now I could add a link in here. Well, first I'll create a CSS file because then it's easier to recognize it. So common naming for CSS is just main.css for your main CSS file. And now I can link to that link, and it says relationship. It's a style sheet. And where is it? Just trying to, there we go. main.css. It's right there. And so inside there, I could put my formatting. Remember that for rule sets, CSS rule sets, we have selectors. So I could select H1, H2, and H6, H5, whatever. And then I have my declaration block where I set my declarations. I could change color to red. And yeah, that's good. I could do font size to 4 rim. And now they'll all be the same font size. Kind of funny. And so that's using the link one, and that's just let's see, how did I describe that? That's a self-closing tag, right? There is no closing element to it. And here we have the image element, which is also a self-closing tag. So link uses href, image uses source. Okay, so the link is linking with an href, because I could put in there, you know, hey, this is like wherever on the web. Go grab it from this other place. That might be interesting to experiment with. Like, let's go to reddit.com and open up down here and look at the network and look at the type and GIF, PNG, script, text, HTML, GIF, script, document, and name, waterfall. Let's refresh it. Reddit. I'm going to do view page source actually. Right click, view page source. Link. Icon. Style sheet. We'll look for style sheet. And so here's the style sheet. So copy link address. Let's put that in here and see what happens. And I'll just look at it. I grabbed that CSS from somewhere else off the web, and it's being used to format this. It's kind of interesting, right? So href being an href, right? Like just hyper reference. And so the image has a source, right? Could we also grab an image source off of Reddit? Let's see. Inspect. And image source. Hey thumbs, Reddit media. I don't know if that'll work. So let's put an image in. Come here, baby. Where's my preview it? There we go. So it went and got that image. Cool, right? So I could put in an image just somewhere out from the web, or I could do it right from my computer. Whoops. So get rid of this one. And we have a puppy dog, which I use all over the place. Border, border radius, CSS reset, surfer page has an image on it. There we go. There we go. So what's the alt used for? So I'm going to take out this CSS here and just do back to our link. So the alt is if the image doesn't show up, then it's the alternate text which is shown. So if that image didn't show up, it's the alternate text which is shown. So I could do JPEG, JP, which now it won't show up. And here's the alt text, right? Tells me what goes there. I thought it also gave tooltips. So we could Google that for a second. HTML image tooltip. There we go, that's fine. And HTML tooltip on image, Stack Overflow. Dun dun. Image, source of image, all alternate text, title. This will be displayed as a tooltip. So the title is the one that we'd put in for the tooltip. But I need to show. Here's the tooltip. Kind of cool. So MDN image. MDN, if you ever want to look up documentation on any elements, MDM. And then just scroll down through here, and you can see the different attributes. So elements have attributes. And we saw here the source and alt. So here's alt. This attribute defines the alternative text describing the image. Users will see this text displayed if the image URL is wrong, the image is not in one of the supported formats, or the image is not yet downloaded. Also, screen readers helps with accessibility. And then for the other one was title. The other attribute was title. And so we looked and we saw, you know, source is the image URL, and then we have source set. Title. Title doesn't show up. Isn't that weird? So let's see if MDN image title. Title. Title is a global attribute. The title global attribute contains a text representing advisory information related to the element it belongs to. Such information can typically, but not necessarily, be presented to the user as a tooltip. Typical use of this attribute. So that's a global attribute, and that's a link. So we click on global attributes. Are attributes common to all HTML elements? They can be used on all elements, though the attributes may have no effect on some elements. Global attributes may be specified in all HTML elements, even those not specified in the standard. So let's just look here and see. Access, class, data, dir, draggable, drop zone, hidden, ID. So class and ID is stuff you'll use on all of them. Language, style, title, translate is an enumerated attribute that is used to specify whether an element's attribute values and the values of its text node children are to be translated when the page is localized, or whether to leave them unchanged. It can have the following values: empty string and yes, which indicates the element will be translated, no, which indicates the element will not be translated. Kind of interesting. Global attributes. So that is the link element, the image element, and then the anchor element is how we do hyperlinks. href, go to worldwideweb.reddit.com. Go to Reddit. Reddit.com.
You need HTTP?
I need my HTTPS. There we go. And a really nice attribute is target blank. So what that does is it opens it in a new tab. Ready? So this old tab's still open, and it popped open its new tab. So it launches a new tab for the user.
How do you get it to open a new window?
How do you get to open a new window?
Yeah, instead of a tab.
Probably JavaScript. But we could search that. HTML attribute, anchor, launch, new window. Target attribute opens the link document in a new window or tab. So let's see what it says. Find window. Opens the link document in the full body of the window. Opens the link document in new window or tab. Opens the link document in the same frame. Opens the link document in the parent frame. Opens the link document in the named frame. So I don't know what top would do. We could try top. So that didn't do anything, right? It wasn't the blank one we had before. And then we have paragraph. Here we have class, and a class is added. We'll talk about classes and IDs here in a second. Let me see if we want to. So class and ID is how we target stuff. With CSS or JavaScript. So I could add here a class and many P's. And this could have the class many P's. And this could have the ID only one. Okay, you're only allowed to have one ID per page, one with that name. Every ID on a page has to be unique. But classes can be you can have more than one of the same class on the page. So here I could target my ID, only one P, and here I could target my class. And you do that with a pound sign, hashtag, whatever, for an ID in CSS. And you do it with a period for a class in CSS, and color, blue, font, size, 2rem. Anybody have questions about that? Does that make sense? So here's paragraph 1 and 2. They're both part of the class. Many P's. And 3, right, is only one ID. If I try to put another one in there with that ID, it's going to throw an error. It's going to say, oh, you're only allowed to have one ID per page with that name. So that's adding a general attribute. So HTML tags also have attributes. Some HTML tags require certain attributes to work. Attributes are additional pieces of information which the browser uses. Attributes help us provide additional functionality to our HTML tags.